Everything is media. So like a brand can be media if they have the same affinity audience or a similar consumer base that you want to tap into. A person can be media, which is the rise of influencers, but also even thinking about what we like to call offluencers, so individuals who might not be as active on social media, but are very powerful voices within communities that might be relevant to a certain brand. We do work with a lot of blue chip brands, so brands like GE or L'Oreal or Verizon or Panasonic, and often a big part of our charge will be how do we take a 100-year-old brand and make them relevant for today's consumers.
Consumers today just are so flexible and nimble to pick up new ways to consume brand content or friends content or create their own, that a lot of the time these larger companies aren't really able to keep up to speed with all of the changes and things that are happening. I think that it really helps when you have people that are actually actively using the platforms that a brand is going to be putting themselves on, because there's so much that you need to learn.
Even in the recruiting and hiring process, as you're adding people to your team, that at least some of those hires are the kind that are insatiable for new apps and new media and new opportunities to connect with consumers, and lean on them to educate the rest of the agency as well, and maybe partner them with people who might have a great mind for strategic thinking and how to really integrate different competencies for a campaign with people who might be more specialized in new media.
The engagement is more meaningful. Many of them often convert to actual sales because they're, the number of followers that they have are the ones that are looking to them for advice. So there are so many other values and benefits to working with influencers and for these campaigns outside of just looking at the follower count, which, oftentimes some of the larger followed influencers work with so many brands that much of their content does get diluted.
I think it's part of media relations, and I think that's also why we really struggled when we started. Do we call ourselves Small Girls PR? In fact, our first 2 months that we launched, we were just Small Girls Big Business, so we could leave it open-ended. And we thought, other people aren't calling, at the time influencer marketing, that term didn't exist. We were calling it tastemaker marketing, we were calling it downtown cool kid campaigns. We were really throwing stuff against the wall to try to communicate to brands what it was that we were doing and why it might be relevant to them. But because other PR agencies weren't necessarily offering that service yet, it's much more common now, and I would say necessary.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, what we do is PR. We're managing the message of the client to the public, albeit more directly than via editors, which we also do on the traditional side, but the end goal is the same.
So I think there's a ton of value added when you're able to work not just across services, but also across generations, and also just be better equipped to market to the world that we live in, which is not just a world built for millennials. There are so many ranges of interests, and we know that we need to reflect that when we're working with clients. Honing in on that vision of becoming a truly integrated agency across so many different competencies in which everything is driven through the lens of earned. So even when we're building an event, how do we earn social shares? When we're building an influencer campaign, even if we're paying for certain top-tier influencers, how do we earn additional shares and additional visibility where we're really lowering that CPM or getting the most bang for our buck?
I do see the value of what we built as a brand, and it, I think, was one of the things that really differentiated us from a lot of PR agencies in the beginning. I mean, the fact that we were even called Small Girls. Mallory and I weren't necessarily thinking that we'd be a company of this size at this point. But when people argue, like, why are you still called Small Girls when you have tall people
men who are
men,
here.
exactly. But at the end of the day, she and I are still small girls. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.